Hey guys, today I want to talk about my Pokemon card Infinite Money Glitch. And this is kind of a left field out there idea, but I just had this thought one day and I crunched numbers and it seems to work out on paper. So let's just go over it because it seems crazy, but breaking down the numbers, it seems to work. So for this, I would like to focus today on the Paldea Evolved Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box. Now, this should work with other Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, but I specifically took a look at this one and I crunched numbers and it works at least for this one. And let's go over it. It's rather simple. And first, we're just breaking down the costs and the value based on grading and the gem rates. So, starting off with the costs, and we're going to take all these numbers in Canadian dollars. Right now you can buy an Elite Trainer box for roughly about $400. And if you take that and multiply it by 10, which we'll take as a sample size, so we get a reasonable sample size that with manageable numbers and not too big, like 1,000 Elite Trainer boxes, which you would need to do to actually make this a viable strategy and eliminate luck from the equation so that you can actually get the statistical gem rates. But we're going to just take 10 for manageable numbers. So to start, you can buy an Elite Trainer box for about $400. Multiply that by 10, that's $4,000 as the cost. Now, if we take the value of Elite Trainer boxes, inside each Elite Trainer box, you get 11 booster packs, 1 foil art promo featuring the Pikachu with the stamped promo, and you get another one without the stamped promo. So, what's important to note is you get the regular promo in the regular Elite Trainer box regardless. And then you get the stamp promo only in the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. But to break down the costs, let's start with the lowest part. Let's start with the packs. You get 11 packs, and this is good because it's pretty much guaranteed. You take the 11 packs, and right now the market price on TCG Player is about $8 which is about 11 Canadian dollars. So we can conservatively say that with 11 packs, that's about $120 per value of packs in the one box. So multiply that by 10, that's $1,200. So if we take that $1,200 and subtract it from the $4,000 cost, that leaves us with the remaining cost of $2,800 to hit to break even. Now let's take let's grade the regular promo, the Pikachu SV027, but without the stamp. So this one goes for about $100 in a PSA 10 and like $50 to $60 in a PSA 9. So if we take this value, and right now, based on the official PSA population report for this card, there's about 10,000 graded, 5,000 came back a 10, and about 4,500 came back a 9. So you're actually more likely to get a 10 than a 9, but it's roughly 50-50. So if out of our 10, 5 get a 10 and 5 get a 9, based on the statistics, you get about $500 in value because 5 times 100 is 500 for the 10s, and about, let's say 60 times 5 is 300, so $300 in value from the PSA 9. So that brings you with a total of $800 of graded value from the Pikachu promo not stamped. So to subtract that from the $2,800 remaining cost, that leaves us with $2,000 left of cost to break even. With now remaining, we have the stamped promo of the Pikachu that comes in the Paldea Evolved Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box. Now, taking this gem rate is significantly lower. However, that makes the price of the PSA 10 significantly higher. This is basically where the strategy takes the magic. So there's about 2,500 copies of this card graded, with only 500 receiving a 10. That's a 20% gem rate. And then there's roughly 1,500 receiving a 9. So pretty much the remaining cards will get a 9. So if we take that into the calculations, if we have 10 copies of the stamped promo and we send them in, and 20% get a 10, that's 2 10s and let's say 8 9s. However, the PSA 10s are worth $1,500, while the PSA 9s are only worth about $150. However, let's take this with 150 times 8, that's about $1,200 in value, And then we have the PSA 10s having $1,500 in value times 2. That's about $3,000. So that's 3,000 plus 1,200. That's 4,200. The remaining cost of the Eternal box is only 2,000. So this means you profited 2,200 from this whole transaction. So we made a total of $6,200 in value from the $4,000 cost on the Elite Turner box. Now, there's many caveats. Like, you may be able to pay less per Elite Turner box, or you may be able to get more 10s in the stamp promos, because 20% is a pretty low gem rate. So it may not be too hard to get lucky and overscore that. However, you may also underscore that. So you shouldn't rely on luck and just go based off you should just go based off the statistics. However, I would like to point out that it's a pretty sound strategy, because even if you only get 1 10 or all 9s, you still break even or barely lose any money, which is important because that leaves a low risk strategy with a high reward if you get 2 or more 10s. And based on the statistics of the population report, you should get at least 2 PSA 10s based on the gem rate. And that's where most of the money is made, from the PSA 10s of the stamped Pikachu promos on this Elite Turner box. And then there's also some people, they may say that, what if you just take the raw promos, right? You just take the, you just buy them on the free market, you just buy the stamp promos and just grade them. The thing with this is, if you're a really, really good pre-grader and you meet them in person, you inspect the card, everything's good, this may be a viable strategy. However, often people might be selling them raw because, you know, they may have looked at it and it's not good, it's not going to get a 10 for sure, or it may get damaged in shipping, or they may have accidentally damaged it and they're trying to hide it and then they're selling it. You know, there's so much risk, more risk. But I believe if you just crack those Elite Turner boxes, you buy like 100, you crack them, you have the most solid chance at making it profitable, because it's like, you know, opening a pack, you know, you get the most fair odds just cracking them out of the Elite Turner box to get that same gem rate that the PSA population report shows, because most people are just cracking them and submitting them, right? So there's also other risks, like what if PSA, just the grader's having a bad day and gives you all 8s, right? That's another risk, but that shouldn't happen, right? And also there's risk with like the time it takes to grade it. But overall, what I'm saying is, the whole consensus of this video is that even in a crazy market like this, where all the prices seem elevated and it seems like there's nothing to buy at a good deal, if you're creative, you can still make it work. You can still find ways to make a profit. Even buying an item that is currently like almost 10x the MSRP, there's still creative ways to make it profitable. So basically, if you are able to outcompete people in business in general, but especially with Pokemon cards, you need to have your competitive edge. If you either find something undersaturated, like, you know, cracking ETBs and grading them, you know, crazy, or you find something that other people are doing but you do it better, this applies to all business, really life, but especially with Pokemon, with how many people have access to these cards and are trying to sell them. If you're creative, you have that extra spin to it, you can still find ways to make money, even in a crazy market and in an oversaturated market. So that's the whole point of this. And the idea is pretty crazy, and you do need a large sample size to even theoretically make it work, but on paper, it works. So I just wanted to share this crazy idea, and if anyone has the facility to actually try this, you should let me know how it goes. But yeah, I just wanted to prove that there's some crazy ideas out there, and who knows, those are the crazy ideas are what make people rich. But obviously this is not a crazy make you rich overnight idea, but it is something I just think about, that it might be profitable because on paper it works. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about this ridiculous strategy, but technically it is an infinite glitch, because you can just keep buying these Elite Turnips, keep cracking them, and statistically you'll make money. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the strategy in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, if it was entertaining at least to look at these numbers, or if you learned anything, subscribe to join the journey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.